Hello everybody, it's Aaran back from Screenstars, and I'm here once again to do another review for Geek Legion of Doom. Today I am reviewing the 2023 found footage film Life of Belle. The film is written and directed by Sean Robinson, and it stars Matthew Robinson, Sarah May Robinson, and Syrenne Robinson. I'm guessing these are all family members, because what we have here is a very, very low budget found footage film that focuses on a family. Now, Belle is the little girl, Annabelle. She is given like a camera for her birthday, I think it is, because she wants to be, as most young girls do, you know, like a social media star. So she's that kind of gives us the reason for the footage being filmed. Now, in 2018, you learn right at the beginning of this film that something really sinister happens to this family, and Annabelle Belle has gone missing. No answers are found. There are no clues. The police have no evidence to lead them anywhere. So what they decide to do is release the footage that Belle has been filming on her camera in the hope that it will lead to new evidence and clues. This film is that footage. So essentially, it's the age-old found footage type story sort of thing. And the one thing that this film does right is it knows its limitations. It knows it's a micro-budgeted, like, found footage film. But it absolutely kind of, as best it can, follows like the blueprint for a found footage film. So you've got the excuse for the camera there. You've got like this setup at the beginning, you know, with the police releasing the footage in the hope that the public can give them more evidence. You know, you've seen it time and time again, sort of thing. To some people, it may be tired, sort of thing. I'm one of the strong believers in found footage films that I think if you kind of follow the blueprint for the most part for a found footage film, you know, you've got the reason for the footage being filmed. You know, you've got a nice setup at the beginning. You've got a slow increase of tension and then a satisfying climax sort of thing in a found footage film, and a bit of chaos and stuff, you know, going on in between. Then you've got yourself a recipe for a fairly decent found footage film. And occasionally the ones that elevate themselves, found footage films, are the ones that kind of throw in some originality here and there, or have some really specially crafted thrills, chills and scares. Now, this film, as I said, I think does follow the budget, follow the blueprint pretty well when you consider the small budget that it has here. And for me, again, it's more evidence that budding filmmakers out there with very little money to make a film, there's evidence here that you can do it, and you can do a decent job of it as well, because I actually think this film is a pretty decent found footage film. Now, it is very, very clearly inspired by Paranormal Activity, certainly in my opinion. It feels very inspired by Paranormal Activity. It's got that vibe, it's got that feel, it's following a similar pattern, all that kind of stuff, you know, a young family with children, with things starting to go off sort of thing in and around the home, the mother losing control, losing her mental health. Now, obviously, you know, the first Paranormal Activity, there wasn't really children involved in that, but it's the same vibe, and you will by watching this, you'll get that vibe that it's inspired by Paranormal Activity. Again, for the low budget film, and I know I keep saying that, I have to say I thought for the most part here the performances were believable, especially the children. I have to give them a lot of credit here. You know, the children did really well, and there was a couple of scenes where they possibly were genuinely startled, but it looked absolutely genuine to me as well. So maybe they didn't tell them what they were going to do, and then boom, they did it, and then that's why you get the genuine look of fear and on their faces and that sort of thing. But yeah, I have watched probably higher budgeted found footage films, or even not found footage films, much bigger budgets than this, with far, far worse performances than this. So while this isn't the most believable performances you will see in this genre, I think they do a pretty decent job here. Now, because again, the lack of funding in this film, you get a lot of scenes of like family scenes, like having a barbecue, going to the park, And then you get lots of setup scenes of mum sleepwalking and crying and vomiting and all this kind of stuff. And you get an impression that there's an issue with mum and her mental health, all this kind of stuff, and it's slowly declining as the film's going on. Now, because of the level of budgeting that's gone into this film, what this film, for me, really lacked to sort of elevate it to the next level was there was very, very little in the way of any real paranormal scares here. It threatened it. You get bits and pieces going on here and there, but for the most part, I came away, and I'm not sure if they shouldn't have focused on this a little bit more. Really, if this wasn't more really a film highlighting, you know, the struggles with mental health and things like that. So yeah, you don't really get, you know, people spinning around and flying all over the place and, you know, all that kind of stuff that you get obviously in the bigger budgeted films, but you get hints at things, you get suggestions of things, and that sometimes can be more powerful. But it also, for me, when I left watching this film, I also felt like, you know, there was an opportunity to elevate it if there was a little bit more inputted into it in regards to money and stuff, which I know obviously they didn't have. So yeah, I mean, for a found footage film, with the micro budget that we have here, I was suitably impressed here. Don't get me wrong, there are obviously many more found footage films on the market that I think do the job better than this. And as you may know, if you follow my channel on Screenstars, I do really enjoy found footage films, and I've got a real respect for them. And I think this does an admirable job. There's a real ambition here. They've got a real respect for the genre. They understand what it is they're making, and they deliver 60-70% of this film. It kind of does the best it can, and it follows the blueprint. It just, if you can't stick the landing, and you kind of come away with a feeling like, yeah, there was a good attempt there, but there was a lack of real genuine scares going on in here. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful. Don't forget to call back onto the Geek Legion of Doom channel for plenty more reviews very soon.